Hey, it's a new year, so we're taking stock of all the new and upcoming games of 2026, specifically on PC, all right? These are the games that you can start playing right now, or they release soon. Not all these games technically have release dates yet, so we're hoping we'll get a chance to play all these this year, and just know, games get delayed all the time. Some of this stuff is subject to change, but we have a lot of cool games, a whopping 50 to talk about. So let's get started off with number 50. One of the more unlikely games of 2026, I think it's obvious, it's Hytale. This like kind of Minecraft-like game has really been through the ringer, man. It was originally canceled, it's been sold and restored, it's releasing in early access, and it released not too long ago, and it's pretty damn solid. It's still in an early stage, but it is fully playable and shows a lot of promise. I mean, taking the bones of the Minecraft experience, but polishing it up, adding expressive animations, a lot more mechanics and smoother combat, it's just a great idea. We had to really sit up and take notice when Hytale exceeds expectations. There was a lot of hype around this one for years, and there's still a very long road ahead for this game, but we're excited to see how it pans out, because it's a really damn good start. Next at number 49, Code Vein 2. This is the first real, successor to Elden Ring, or game trying to go after some of that Elden Ring influence and formula. Because this vampire-themed action RPG has you exploring these pretty large open world environments that feel quite like Elden Ring. Even if the actual dungeons are far less creative. You can check out our full review elsewhere. We did a before you buy on this, but Code Vein 2 is still one of the more notable games of early 2026. You can jump on it right now. It's available on Steam and adds some useful companions to the Dark Souls mix to make some boss fights a whole lot easier. There's a lot of creative stuff here. It's still a difficult game, so if you're looking to scratch that specific Elden Ring itch and you like the anime style. Next at number 48, Cairn. This is the surprise climbing hit of early 2026. This indie game about methodically reaching the top of a massive mountain. The game simulates you climbing from the bottom of a mountain all the way to the top. It's a little bit like vertical baby steps, where you're going to carefully control every limb to slowly kind of pull your character up. It's incredibly dangerous. You're worrying about the elements, you're worrying about resource management and how many cables you can use so you don't fall to your death. There are some mild survival elements and gear upgrades to find when you're exploring. There are even these kind of sub-side quests to follow alternate climbing paths to get some useful stuff. If you're in the market for a co-op style game that isn't just about goofiness and slipping and falling down, Cairn is awesome. It's challenging, it's a little janky, but it is surprisingly addictive, and when you reach the top of that mountain, it feels good. It feels like it's worth it. Next at number 47, Nioh, Memories in Orbit. This somehow makes the search action genre even more brutal. Metroidvania games like, Hollow Knight Silksong, Nine Souls from last year, they push the difficulty boundaries for exploration side-scrollers, and Nioh actually raises the skill ceiling even higher. It's a beautifully designed 2.5D game, and you're this tiny little robot running around a crashed spaceship trying to complete your mission, whatever that even is. But like a lot of games in this genre, you're left to figure out the story on your own, and you fight these pretty difficult bosses, seriously difficult. Some of the optional bosses in Nioh definitely took us by surprise. The bosses in this game just they don't mess around. So if you're looking for a nice casual Metroid style experience, stay away. This one asks a lot of you, but if you're willing to give that up, you're gonna get a cool experience. Next at number 46, Kingmakers is the game we've been following since it was basically first teased as a small concept, essentially a big old medieval battle sim style game. But while you also command the trebuchets and the armies and do the castle sieging stuff, you also get to play as an individual, but it's just a guy with guns, which is an awesome concept for a medieval game. It makes no sense, it's just zany enough. It's the type of stuff that works perfectly in a video game. Be a guy with a gun or a motorcycle or a cool pickup truck just driving around killing knights with swords. Why not? That's the magic of gaming. In 2025, this one was delayed indefinitely, but I really hope we get our hands on it in 2026, even if it's an early access release. Now at number 45, Nioh 3. Team Ninja's back, and they're doing it again. This is the other game that is a Souls-like that was previously around, but now it's releasing after the massive influence of Elden Ring. So Nioh 3 is featuring big open world maps and more intricate dungeons to explore. You're gonna play and instantly swap between two fighting styles, samurai style or ninja, and each skill set has like a specific use. So you're learning how to take advantage of all your abilities and when to flop between the two. Like that makes it kind of feel unique and stand out in the Souls-like subgenre. These types of games are not slowing down, and Nioh is once again really difficult, so consider Nioh 3. Now at number 44, Romeo is a Dead Man. This is another developer returning. It's Grasshopper manufacturer and Suda51 back with another weird, bombastic, ridiculous, hyper-violent character action game. And that's exactly what we want, man. We haven't seen like a more traditional style single-player action game from Suda51 in what feels like, a minute now. Romeo is a Dead Man looks like a return to form for the infamously odd Japanese kind of shock jock game developer, mixing multimedia presentations with the hyperkinetic action gameplay. It is just exactly the kind of single player game we're hungry for. Something weird and something creative, and we're glad it's coming to PC. Now at number 43, Mina the Hollower. This is the next full game from Shovel Knight developers Yacht Club Games, and that's really all we needed to know to get excited about this one. From what we've seen, it looks like a fast-paced, top-down adventure, kind of inspired by Link's Awakening. You're exploring this cool gothic horror world full of monsters, but it's light, it's charming. It's exactly the kind of successor we wanted from Shovel Knight, a nostalgic game that's never really fully beholden to the limitations of old games and tries something new. Now, Mina was actually meant to release in 2025, but a surprise delay pushed this game into, I guess, the unknown regions of 2026. We don't know when it's coming out, but here's hoping it actually drops sometime this year. This also just looks like a really good Steam Deck game. Next at number 42, the Fable reboot. It seems like it's finally going to get off the ground in 2026. I mean, the Fable series has been on a rocky road for a long time, but now that we finally got a look at this new one, it seems promising. It's not perfect. It's missing the character morphing, morality morphing systems of the old games. You can't become a massive badass demon with your bad deeds, but now it seems like your choices are going to affect your reputation, but also the world around you. And if they can nail that, that could be very interesting. Not to mention now it's going to be fully open world, seamless, and hundreds of NPCs that are apparently all individual. They go about their own routines, they have their own lives, and you can mess with them however you want. That's Fable. We still don't know exactly how this one is going to land, but we're optimistic. And as of right now, it's slated for sometime in 2026. Who knows? Now at number 41, Slay the Spire 2 is a big one for PC people. I mean, it's the roguelike card builder game that people have loved, and it's back. New and returning characters, a lot more going on in the gameplay department, and it looks awesome, and it's releasing in March. Next at number 40, Ananta. This isn't really an anime GTA, like some people were saying. It looks the part, but this is much closer to other free-to-play action RPGs that have made the jump from mobile to PC. This is a pretty ambitious game, promising procedurally generated cities. They're apparently gonna repopulate daily, so you have all these new missions to accomplish and things to fight. That sounds crazy. It's also free to play, so even if the charming art style doesn't win you over, I guess you could just try it for yourself when the early access period opens up for everyone sometime in early 2026. Next at number 39, High on Life 2. Now, after the shakeup at the studio behind the first game, the sequel has a lot to prove. It's a comedy and a sci-fi first-person shooter with ridiculously fast action, especially if you didn't play the first one. You're like this human lost in a completely absurd cartoon alien environment with talking weapons. You'll dash and slide and now hoverboard through armies of weird, crazy enemies. And it sounds like things are just really upgraded. More enemies, bigger environments, tighter gameplay. And we were surprised how fun and funny the first one was, so we'll give this one a shot when it releases soon. Now at number 38, check this out. This is Mewgenics. This is from the creator of Super Meat Boy. They're releasing this weirdo tactical roguelike about cat genetics. So instead of hiring soldiers and sending them into battle, you're gonna breed cats and make these science abominations and battle massive bosses. Now, like any roguelike, failure is gonna send you back to the start of your run. So learning is really the only way to claw your way back and get some actual success. This game kind of feels like a relic of the 2010s because it actually is, fun fact. This was originally announced back in 2012, and many assumed this Super Meat Boy successor would never see the light of day, but we were all wrong. It has resurfaced, and we're gonna actually get to see if the wait was worth it very soon. Now at number 37, Reanimal. We're really going from like one spiritual successor to another here. This is the next game from the Little Nightmares people. This narrative adventure aims to capture the surreal, disturbing world of those previous games, but for a more mature audience and do something a little different. It's going to be you, your tiny team of like these cooperative little protagonists, and you're going to avoid bizarre monstrosities and massive environments and deal with these like twisted, reanimated animal things. It looks like we kind of wanted from a Little Nightmares sequel, just like bigger, grosser, and a lot meaner. And thankfully, we don't have to wait too long for this one. Next at number 36, Resident Evil Requiem, or Resident Evil 9. Look, it's easily at the top of our most anticipated games of the year. We've talked about it to death at this point. You probably know the drill. You play as the return of Leon Kennedy, series staple, as well as newcomer Grace. She's kind of more like first-person slow survival horror, where Leon plays more like Resident Evil 4 Remake, with cool roundhouse kicks and action. It seems like it's potentially the best of both worlds. We've seen gameplay, we've gotten our hands on preview versions of it. It seems like it has a lot of potential, and honestly, like, we haven't seen that much of the game, because they've teased this return to Raccoon City, but all the gameplay trailers just feature the characters in one kind of haunted hospital hotel place. So I'm really curious to see what the hell the rest of the game is. Our hopes are high. Capcom's been doing well lately with a lot of these games, so we're excited to see when it releases at the end of February. Next at number 35, Marathon. This is easily one of the most notable games of 2026. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is gonna be up to you. Now look, we're trying to be positive for Marathon's big second debut. This is a reimagining of Bungie's old school FPS games, but now you're a cyborg in an extraction shooter kind of battle royale thing. So you're dumped into a big PvPvE world where you'll have to fight other players, run around, search for loot, and get out with the goods before someone else takes you out. And if they do, you lose all your shit. It's a familiar formula at this point. It's an addictive and proven and kind of hardcore formula, and we're excited to see how Bungie really takes it on. The Destiny 2 developers really know how to make fun-feeling shooters, like they got the gameplay chops, but we're just curious to see if this multiplayer-only attempt is worth it. Next at number 34, Control Resonant. This is a game we're really rooting for. This is the action RPG spin-off slash sequel to Control. Now, instead of running around with a transforming gun and third-person shooting, you're actually using this transforming melee weapon, and you're fighting across this like chaotic, twisted New York City. A supernatural threat has actually leaked out of the Federal Bureau of Control headquarters, and your psychic agent, actually Jesse's brother from the first game, he's apparently going out into the streets to stop it. Combining Remedy's like insane storytelling here with a little action combat energy has us excited. It's cool that they're doing something completely different. They could have made Control 2 and just made it feel like Control 1. But if they nail the combat, and that's definitely a tricky thing, but if it has good combat and just tells a great story like they always do, Control Resonant could be a banger. Now at number 33, Pragmata. This is another big Capcom game for 2026. They're busy. You play as this space dude decked out in a big astronaut suit with a helpful long-haired, maybe robotic girl companion. So you do the shooting while she does the hacking. And it's a really clever third-person shooting action spin. And interestingly enough, this is totally new IP for Capcom. And it also just looks really polished. The banter between the characters is charming, the enemy encounters look refreshing, and like with your spacesuited guy having a kind of booster so he can double jump and dash around, and we've seen some big levels, it seems like a weird new spin on Dead Space in terms of like that chunky spaceman gameplay. We still have a lot of questions, but we just love seeing a regular old cool Capcom single player game. We're really interested in just finally learning exactly what the deal is with Pragmata later this year. Next at number 32, Halo Campaign Evolved. Look, Microsoft I think is just aiming to remind us here why we all fell in love with Halo in the first place. Here, I know we've had remakes already, but this Campaign Evolved is like a big overhaul with totally revamped or completely new levels and fresh mechanics to make the OG campaign feel kind of new all over again. Remaking old games has been a winning strategy for developers lately, looking to really rediscover what made those games so great in the first place, so we're just hoping for a fun return back to Halo in 2026. That original game still holds up, so I'm curious to see how they can actually elevate it here. Now at number 31, sticking with similar franchises, Gears of War E-Day. This is another kind of return to simpler times for the Gears of War franchise. Gears of War's plot, their world has become increasingly complex, but instead of wading into a Gears of War 6, we're actually going back to how the Locust Horde first started. E-Day actually tells the war from day one, with the underground armies invading the surfaced world. They've been talking about a back to basics approach here with this one that's refreshing, like the storytelling, Marcus and Dom, the action, the gore, the grim dark atmosphere from Gears of War 1. We're excited to see if they can really nail that feel. And we don't necessarily know if this one is actually dropping in 2026, but hopefully we just learn more about it. Next at number 30, Hell Let Loose Vietnam. That's like as if Hell Let Loose wasn't stressful enough. This online shooter moves to Vietnam, and it's a military sim. You're fighting on maps inspired by pivotal moments in the war, and developers promise that the hardcore gameplay from the OG that people really loved will remain the same here, but with new features because of the technology, like helicopters, tunnel networks, adding more depth to the big-ass battles, different weapons, obviously. Boats are another new addition that both sides are going to have access to. It seems like it could potentially be really interesting. If you played the original Hell Let Loose, you know that game is sweaty, that game is tight, and that game requires patience. So now, in the Vietnam campaign, that could be even more stress-inducing, but hopefully some good, clean multiplayer fun. And by clean, I mean not really. Next at number 29, The Blood of Dawnwalker. We've talked about this one in other upcoming videos, but we gotta mention it here. This is a vampire-themed big RPG made by some former developers of The Witcher 3. Now, that doesn't guarantee a great game, but it gets our attention, and everything we've seen about Dawnwalker so far looks interesting. It's a story-focused game, and the developers are pushing the interactive angle. There are major pivots and important decisions that will be reflected in the rest of the game, which is always welcome. We love to see if those things actually deliver. The most notable feature for us is how the game is actually split, so there's like the day and the night, with 2 different playstyles. So during the day, you're a normal, weak human, and at night, you're stalking around the countryside and stuff as this powerful, badass vampire with different combat. The developers want both playstyles to feel fun, and there are apparently separate maps for both, making these 2 sections of the game feel distinct, but I'm curious to see how they interconnect them, how it all feels tangible. Overall, it's an interesting experiment, and we're just excited to see how it all works when the game releases some point midway through 2026. Next at number 28, Forza Horizon 6. This series has been chugging along for a long time, and each new entry is definitely a step up in quality over the last. They kind of hit like warm blankets. It's just a racing game, you know what to expect, but this time around, not only is it a version of Japan with gleaming cities and cherry blossom trees blooming and beautiful countrysides and mountainside drifting, they're also changing up some of the multiplayer options as well as how the progression of like the campaign career works, and I think that's definitely needed. So I'm glad they're not just throwing new cars, new Japan at you. I'm glad that they're kind of reworking some other things in the games mechanically, no pun intended, because the pacing of Forza Horizon 5 kind of threw me off. Still, I'm really looking forward to this. Hopefully it's optimized and it can absolutely scream on PC. It's slated for May 19th of this year. Next at number 27, for something totally different, check this out. This is Beast of Reincarnation. This is actually from Game Freak, the developers of all the mainline Pokemon games. And they're doing this. This is an action RPG set in a polluted, post-apocalyptic, far future Japan. You're accompanied by this cool, faithful wolf dog, and you explore this blighted landscape in third-person combat using melee weapons to fight off robots and mutants. Like, it's just a really different type of game than we're used to from Game Freak, but it also looks heavily inspired. It looks closer to something like Sekiro or Black Myth, or even like a Stellar Blade mixed with Horizon Zero Dawn, way more so than something like Pokemon Legends. And I'm curious to see how they do it with a PC release, because graphically and like design-wise, the game does look gorgeous, so hopefully we can take advantage of that on PC. Next at number 26, Marvel is stepping up big time in 2026 with Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Now, the Wolverine game from Insomniac won't be out on PC in 2026, but Marvel 1943 apparently is going to be a multi-platform launch. And it's a World War II adventure where you're playing as Captain America or Black Panther in Nazi-occupied Paris. You're battling mad science stuff from evil organization Hydra. You're dealing with some secret agent stuff as well, some spy craft in between all the superhero stuff. Look, it's a really cool premise. It's got flashy graphics, but we still don't know enough about it. It was apparently going to release in 2025, and it got pushed to whenever in 2026, and I hope we see it this year, but at the very least, I just hope we hear something. I hope it doesn't get canceled or anything, because I love Captain America, and I love when Captain America and Black Panther team up, and this could be pretty sweet. We're at the halfway mark, so we might as well talk about Total War Warhammer 40K. This is like a dream game for a lot of people. I'm just look at it on screen here. This complete reimagining of the Total War formula just has us really begging to know more. The gameplay that we did get to see so far shows massive battles where you control like armies of the humans, the aliens, these flashy skirmishes. It's crazy. Everything about the gameplay of Total War will probably need to be revamped for this. Like, instead of controlling units of hundreds of soldiers, you'll be commanding squads of marines, individual tanks, or maybe even a few massive super weapons. It's both bigger and smaller scale than we've seen in Total War before, and that just has us hyped because the potential here is crazy. It's really ambitious. Next at number 24, Judas. This, for a lot of people, is kind of like BioShock 4. It's a spiritual successor. It's directed by BioShock mastermind Ken Levine. And it's this kind of like gonzo first-person shooter set on a weird spaceship with all the insanity and alternate history weirdness we kind of expect with these types of games. You'll even get elemental powers that look a lot like plasmids. But we're hoping for another big weird swing from Ken Levine and his team here. BioShock is a stone-cold classic for a reason. If Judas can take those BioShock building blocks and create an experience that feels fresh and unique, we might be getting something great here. But we don't actually know if it's coming in 2026. They've been working on this thing forever. Ken Levine and his games notoriously take a long ass time. So hopefully we see it this year, but who knows, man. Next at number 23, if Konami won't make new Castlevania games, then we just have to settle for the next best thing. And right now, that's going to be Bloodstained, the new one, Bloodstained the Scarlet Engagement. This is a 2.5D Metroidvania that continues the Kickstarter success, and it just looks like a whole lot better, a big improvement on the last game. This one gives you 2 characters to play as or swap between simultaneously while exploring another massive environment, unlocking traversal powers, just a monster-filled castle, all that stuff. It'll be awesome seeing what Bloodstained can really do without just Kickstarter pledges and having a full big budget. Now down at 22, Ace Combat H is exciting just because it exists. It's been just long enough since Ace Combat 7 that we've been craving this particular series' take on arcade-friendly dogfighting with modern jets. It's really cool. If you haven't experienced one of these games, it's really more than you expect, and it seems like they're continuing that vibe with the new one. Now at number 21, Deadlock, of course, is Valve's next big multiplayer game. It's been in development for quite some time. People have gotten their hands on it. They've had positive things to say about it. It's kind of like a third-person shooter, team-based multiplayer game with MOBA elements, character designs that are pretty cool, and some really incredible art direction going on here. I'm really excited to see what the deal is with this one. Hopefully, we get a big drop sometime in 2026. Now at number 20, Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Look, we said before, Capcom is doing a lot this year. They're really busy, and this is another one. Way of the Sword is the company's 3rd single-player release in 2026, if it drops in 2026, and it looks awesome. This is dark fantasy action RPG. You're playing as a samurai fighting grotesque mythological monsters in Japan. It's a cool premise. It's something we've seen in games before, but what sets it apart here is the unique horror atmosphere and Capcom's just really well-crafted worlds. This isn't a Souls-like game, and it isn't like over-the-top crazy action like Devil May Cry. It's this weird in-the-middle thing. Onimusha's really done a good job existing in those margins, and we're hoping they continue that with this one. Now at number 19, Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War 4. The RTS genre is having a small resurgence lately, and that makes the announcement of Dawn of War 4 even more exciting. Ignoring the hero mechanics of the later games in the series, this one takes its cues from the first, with full base building and really cool, impressively animated armies just smashing into each other like toys. This is the sequel to the first game we've always wanted, with like lavish graphics, a full single-player campaign for all 4 factions. The new Mechanicus faction joins returning Space Marines, the Orcs, and the Necrons. Ironically, the grim darkness of the future is looking pretty bright, because this looks sick as hell, and like the other Warhammer 40k game, just crazy ambitious. They're operating on another level here. Just look at it on screen. Next at number 18, 007 First Light. It's a James Bond game really trying to make you feel like a spy. It's from the developers of the Hitman series, so this stab at the franchise gives you kind of open area levels to explore and then action set pieces to shoot and drive through. It's a dream game for the developers, and we're eager to start using gadgets and mess around to infiltrate enemy bases. This is a fully original James Bond world, without the baggage of any of the films or like any actor playing them. It's a whole new fresh thing. It's a young Bond really becoming who he is, and there's a lot of potential there. They make great Hitman games, and hopefully now they can make great 007 games. It still feels like a match made in heaven, and I just hope they stick the landing. Now down at number 17, Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis. If there's one game that needs a full remake, it's the OG Tomb Raider. That being said, they already remade it, but they're remaking it again here, and it looks way cooler. Crystal Dynamics is back in the Tomb Raider business in a pretty big way, making a statement here, working on this Tomb Raider remake and a sequel next year, presumably, that continues the story of Lara Croft. The developers have been really good at making these types of games, so we're hoping this kicks ass. It's just good to have classic-style Tomb Raider back. Next at number 16, from the studio, of course, that brought us like the awesome Yakuza series, Stranger Than Heaven is a Japanese action-adventure RPG that shares a lot with that series. What makes this one different is the far grittier looking storytelling shown in the trailer. The Yakuza games, and Kiryu, of course, have become so charming and weird and non-threatening, but awesome. We're just excited to see what this team does with like a darker story. Will this crime story actually feature a whole lot of crime? Given the brawler gameplay and the story presentation of like a Yakuza to a game with more bite is exactly what fans have been clamoring for. I know Judgment kinda did it in certain ways, but Stranger Than Heaven just looks so cool and so unique aesthetically, and hopefully the storytelling can really back that up. Next at number 15, Subnautica 2, the follow-up to the classic aquatic survival game. This one has gone through some stuff. If you read gaming news headlines, it seems like it's been messy, and the game has been delayed. So hopefully they really get their act together, and hopefully everybody working on the game is compensated and everything is all smooth, because the game was shaping up to be something cool, because it's a follow-up to a classic. This one's gonna have a bigger world, a whole new adventure, like new story, more to craft, new biomes, up to 4-player co-op. There could be a lot with Subnautica 2. They just have to stick the landing. Next at number 14, we're sticking with Warhammer 40k with Boltgun 2. This expands on the success of the original boomer shooter style game, now with a second playable character, more weapons, more enemies, more chaos. Look, I love the original Boltgun. It's a really good throwback style game that's fun and fresh, and I'm just glad they're making another one. It's perfect on PC. Next at number 13, Menace is one of our most wanted games of 2026. It's from the creators of Battle Brothers, and it's this advanced turn-based tactical game where you control armies of these futuristic space marine soldiers fighting enemies on a backwater planet with no backup. The gameplay is what makes this game look really special. It gives you a ton of cool tactical options. Despite the sci-fi setting, this is actually a pretty good modern combat sim. There's a full campaign that's set up kind of like XCOM for endless replayability, and randomized missions that force you to fight across multiple theaters. We might have a modern indie classic on our hands with this one. We're getting our hands on it soon, and it just looks cool as hell. Next at number 12, Lords of the Fallen 2. The previous Lords of the Fallen was a surprisingly good representation of like why people like Souls-style games, but the developers still got a long way to go before reaching the greatness of a FromSoft game. Lords of the Fallen 2 is a Souls-like action RPG set in this cool, real grim, dark fantasy world. Like the first game, the Umbral Lamp is this unique feature for this game. So pulling out the lamp allows you to access the world of the dead, unlocking new paths or encountering new enemies entirely that were previously unseen. It's a cool little mechanic with a lot of potential in the sequel, and this is another one where I'm just glad they're getting another one because they can really build on it. Next at number 11, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. They want to tell Batman's story in the silliest way possible here. And by doing that, they're combining the live action movies, the comic book references, cartoon references, game references, all in one quirky Lego package. I think this is a brilliant idea. As a diehard Batman fan across all mediums, this feels like a good celebration of Batman, and it definitely helps. I'm not gonna lie that it kind of plays like an Arkham game in terms of like the combat and the Batmobile and open world Gotham. I hope this is awesome. Next at number 10, Phantom Blade Zero. This is another one we've talked about quite a bit, but this is like a blindingly fast action combat game for the wuxia crowd. Enemies are dark, the violence is intense, and you battle these guys inspired by Chinese mythology and movies, and man, the animations, the combats, the weapons you can take advantage of here, it's pretty hardcore. Probably gonna have a lot of parrying and a lot of challenge, but still, this is gonna release in late 2026, and we're pretty pumped. Now down at number 9, Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls. This is a flashy fighting game by the Guilty Gear developer Arc System Works. They know what they're doing. You could see incredible animation work firsthand in every frame of this game. We're always in good hands with Arc, and this kind of one-up to Marvel vs. Capcom with 4v4 tag team bouts is something I want to try to experience, even if I'm gonna suck at it. We're on board with the developer, we're on board with the gameplay. The only question is what other heroes are gonna make the roster. We're hoping for some more deep cuts. Now at number 8, this is a PC list, so we gotta mention the Gothic 1 Remake. Gothic is the Eurojank epic RPG we love, but can't easily recommend to gamers in 2026. That clunkiness is what the Gothic 1 Remake, I guess, is really addressing, and we're excited to see if this long-awaited reboot can really capture the magic of that first game. It's rough. You're dumped onto like a magical prison island and forced to survive, and there's a lot of it. It's a hardcore opening, and you have to slowly improve your situation and struggle, and that's kind of like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and a lot of people like that, so I think there is absolutely an appetite for Gothic 1 in 2026. Now at number 7, Atomic Heart 2. The first game was like the weird busted Soviet Bioshock we never thought we needed, and they're continuing that weirdness now with another trip to alternate history where super science has gone very wrong. Wacky robots, big guns, post-apocalyptic atmosphere, powers to use, quests to complete. This one looks a lot more wide open, but also really focused with some cool set pieces. We've only gotten glimpses of it, and we still need more information, but the first game was a really solid start, and if they can build on that and go crazy, Atomic Heart 2 could crush. It has the potential to do a leapfrog like from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. Now at number 6, The Legend of Heroes: Trails Beyond the Horizon. This is like a long-running JRPG epic, and now we got another extremely long and very well-made adventure. We almost missed talking about The Legend of Heroes. The game is actually available now to buy if you're a fan. The Chapter 1 remake showed us how awesome these games can be, with a unique mix of real-time and turn-based battles that make exploring dungeons a lot more fun. These are the kind of budget, charming JRPGs that really keep some of the industry afloat. Not every game needs to be this massive Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's still a lot of really good JRPG stuff out there coming out all the time. You just need to know where to look. Now at number 5, here's something we did not expect. Vampire Crawlers is like the sorta sequel to the viral mega hit Vampire Survivors, but instead of introducing the world to the bullet heaven genre, Vampire Crawlers is something anyone that spends a lot of time on Steam will recognize. It's a roguelike deck builder. Gameplay makes it look like a fast-paced twist on the formula where you're going to be slinging cards and creating combos for like really big overpowered effects like Vampire Survivors. And it's got this really cool 2D dungeon crawler throwback vibe to it that I'm hoping it feels just as unique as Vampire Survivors did. And now, down at number 4, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. What they're doing here is adding a little bit of John Carpenter flavor to the Left 4 Dead genre of games. This is a co-op FPS where your team of 4 rides across a zombie wasteland, using these cool weapons and powers to take down hordes of zombies. Your team gets a big vehicle that actually immediately changes the gameplay dynamics, where one person is driving through swarms or, providing backup with the mounted gun and trying to get this thing not stuck in the mud and keeping it fixed up. I think that sounds really cool. The gameplay could really work here, but the only question we really want to know is how much John Carpenter essence is actually in Toxic Commando. Is he just getting a check for putting his name on the game? He admits he does stuff like that. Either way, I hope this is cool. Now at number 3, another great PC game, Tropico. One of our favorite city builders continues to trudge along in 2026. This is the silly dictator simulator where you control your very own banana republic. You choose what laws get passed, how your nation is built from the ground up, and if you need to send in the army to defend your palace from rebels or crack down on the citizenry, then that's what you gotta do. It's a mechanically complex, pretty deep city builder that only gets more refined with each new entry. The latest game promises a lot of tweaks to the formula, improved combat so you can take direct control of your armies. This could rule, and I'm glad Tropico has stuck around so long. Now at number 2, Light No Fire. This is the ambitious follow-up to Hello Games' No Man's Sky, and they're trying something different this time around. More of a fantasy RPG exploration sci-fi game where they're trying to simulate an entire planet that you and your friends can explore and adventure and mess around with a bunch of different biome varieties and cool stuff. This is a tough one. It's vague. We don't know too much about it. Apparently they've been working on it for a long time. Hopefully it launches in a better state than when No Man's Sky originally did, but I don't know if it's going to be 2026. I hope it is, but at the very least, I think we'll at least learn some more this year. Now, speaking of that, down at number 1, Crimson Desert, probably one of the biggest open world single player RPG projects we've seen in a long time, right? Like visually astounding, crazy over the top stuff, but also tons of gameplay mechanics, a seemingly massive world with a ton of missions, all different types of moves in combat, traversal, exploration, loot, you name it. It seems like Crimson Desert has everything. We've talked about it to death on this channel already, so I'll keep it short, but we're really hoping it can live up to those lofty ambitions. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. This remakes one of the longest JRPGs ever, and it refreshes every aspect of the game for modern consoles and technology. This is one game that we played, some of us here, way back when it released on the 3DS, and it is just a beastly game, man. 7 here is the pinnacle of an extremely old school series, featuring cool, charming character designs, endlessly creative scenarios. You're hopping across islands, completing quests, earning new jobs for your customizable trio of main characters. And legitimately, this is easily the longest game in the Dragon Quest series, and the small quality of life improvements we've seen the reimagined game do are gonna make those 100+ hours of gameplay probably a lot more bearable, but this is just a big ass meal of a game. We have World of Warcraft Midnight. So with this, WoW is marching ahead with this big, massive expansion for 2026. It's set to release in March. It's a continuation. It's like the second chapter of another thing. And there's a lot to it. It also seems like there's going to be a focus on like end game content called depths, new raids, public events, loot, all that. Now, it isn't the seismic shift in awesome new content some expansions were known for. This is mostly Blizzard in, I think, holding pattern mode at this point, but it's notable enough for longtime fans, especially like if you haven't played for over a decade like us. Maybe it's time to rekindle that WoW obsession, because following recent updates, I'll admit it's tempting. Jurassic Park Survival. I mean, Jurassic Park deserves a nostalgic shooter, and it seems like this is what they're going for here. Ignore the name, because this isn't a survival sim. This is a simple, straightforward, apparently action-adventure game where your scientist must escape the island of Isla Nublar before you're turned into T-Rex food. We haven't seen a lot of gameplay of Jurassic Park Survival yet, but the shots look promising. Beautiful recreations of locations from the original and best movie, where you'll fight and survive against familiar monster enemies like velociraptors and Dilophosaurus. Look, we're having a pretty cool little resurgence of Jurassic Park games, like with the park builders, but we still don't have something that's kick-ass and definitive like, say, how Indiana Jones has Indiana Jones in the Great Circle. So here's hoping that Saber Interactive can give us something genuinely good finally in the Jurassic Park universe. Invincible Versus. The Titanic superhero brawls of that series is getting a game, and it makes sense. Invincible Versus is this 3v3 tag team fighting game. So if you've played Marvel vs. Capcom, it's kind of like that, where you choose your team of characters and you fight for victory. That 3v3 format actually works really well for Invincible, which is a series that's absolutely swimming in weird, cool, fun characters. It's like an entire Marvel or DC universe roster, and they can do a lot with it. And the fighting game aims to like match the hard-hitting battles of the comic and TV show with all the violence that entails. If you know, you know. Yes, this is a colorful, campy superhero game where the fighters beat each other up, but they beat each other to like a bloody pulp. It's potentially awesome. Now, those are 50 new PC games you're going to want to keep on your brain for 2026. There are too many notable games to count. We probably missed some, even though this list is so damn long. Games are announced and delayed every single day, but let us know what you're thinking. Games you're looking forward to getting your hands on or learning more about in 2026. Hit us up in the comments, and if you like this video and liked listening to us yap about games for this long, clicking the like button helps us. Thank you, but that's it. That's all we got for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.